welcome to the Squabble. We've had a question from, we think someone called Mike, although we're not completely sure.
You might see a theme with our organised videos. We've definitely had a question, we think it's from Mike, so thanks for the question.
Whoever you are. The question was about T-pegs and whether you should use T-pegs when you're on the tee, start on your hole off. And we discussed this in the building yesterday, whether we'll use this as our topic. And we already had about a 30-second argument. We said, nope, stop, we'll save it for tomorrow. So do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. We were actually worried that we were going to come to actual blows on this one. We're both very passionate about whether you should use a tee or not. For me, let me get a club. For me, I just think it's your first golf shot on the hole. It's easier to hit a ball off a tee. Why wouldn't you hit a ball off a tee? And I was expecting Duncan to go, yeah, of course, absolutely. Maybe it's no squabble involved. And that wasn't quite the reaction I got.
How high would you tee an iron up then?
How high would I tee an iron up?
That's about half an inch. Would you tee it up half an inch?
Yeah, about half an inch, just to give
really?
you that tiny little advantage. Do you know what? When I hit a long iron off a tee, I tee it up an inch or so.
No, you don't.
I do. Do you know where it all started? It all started because I went to the Open once and I saw Vijay Singh hit like a 3 iron or a 2 iron. He teed up that high. I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. And it really worked. And the more time goes by, I've kind of understood a little bit why. And we're going a little bit kind of, we're digressing slightly, but if you hit a long iron off a tee, it comes out with a little bit less spin because you're hitting up and not down as much, and therefore goes a little bit further. But generally, my main argument is it's just easier. So why would you give everyone else an advantage who's hitting off a tee and just chuck the ball on the ground instead?
I think this is where our sort of backgrounds change, actually. My experience of people on T-peg is that they use the T-peg as a way of helping themselves to lift the ball up in the air. Can I use the mat a second?
Yeah.
So I think you see people on a T-peg with an iron stick their ball on a peg and use that little bit of space they've got under here to help themselves to get that ball going up in the sky, which is born out of a need to hit the ball much higher than they think they need to. And I reckon this is where we're going to come at this from different angles. I reckon if you get a Vijay Singh or a Joe Cardy, I reckon by the time the ball's on the tee, I think you know well enough not to react to the ball on the tee, but still just to hit through the back of the ball. But if you give Joe Bloggs a T-peg out there, I think what you're going to find is they're going to try and use that T-peg as a way of getting the ball to go higher. And I reckon if you ask 10 of our golfers, does playing off a T-peg make the ball go higher? I reckon they'd all say yes. Do you reckon it makes it go higher using a T-peg?
No.
Think carefully about that.
No, I don't.
No, T-pegs don't make the ball go any higher because the loft of the club's the same whether you're hitting the top or the bottom. However, if you lift that ball in the air, which you can do, you can get round the back of it and up and underneath it. If you increase the loft by the way you manipulate your shapes, you can make the ball go much higher. And that, I don't know if you'd agree with this, that's not a good plan.
No, I would agree with that. Okay, so is there not a happy medium then, where maybe we could teach people or give them the information to make sure they swing properly as if the ball was on the floor, but with the added help that they have that little bit of elevation, because a normal golfer, their most common mishit is to hit the top of the ball or hit the ball too high up. So could they not have the added elevation, but in the knowledge that they still need to hit down into the ball?
Yeah.
Rather than, as you quite rightly say, flicking up and causing that shot.
So if you were to say to, there's two guys hitting balls here, what should the trajectory of an 8 iron be like? I reckon they would draw a rainbow. They'd say it should go like that and like that. It should go up on an arc and then drop down again when your shots don't. Your shots and my shots go forwards, and because they're squeezed out, because they're hit slightly on a downward arc, they come out low and loaded with spin, and then the wind buffets them and pushes them up, and then they drop. So you get the bore of your shot to begin with, like an aeroplane taking off, and then that height and the shallow drop at the end. So if you get a guy who thinks he should be hitting it out there immediately, then you're going to, I reckon, most likely see those shapes and a big T-peg as a way of him trying to do what he thinks is right. So for me, as long as the golfer understands what the trajectory should look like, then I don't think a T-peg's a problem. But if the golfer's trying to get it up there and they're using the T-peg to get height, then I think you have a problem. I think it's a horses for courses issue.
I think you're probably right. I think it's definitely a horses for courses issue.
Yeah.
because I don't think I would, even still at my level, I don't think I would play a par 3 with a mid-iron up without using a T-peg.
Really?
Really, really.
You surprised me.
I'll tell you what I might do, and I'm not telling anyone to do this on whatever golf course, but you see people give the ground a little thud like that and then put the ball on a nice piece. I would definitely consider that, but I would never not give myself that little bit of elevation, because it gives you an advantage, and I feel like if you don't use it, then you're giving something back to every other competitor out there.
So okay, so you're looking at this from the standpoint of a club golfer. I'm going to chat with Joe a little bit about looking at it from the perspective of a professional golfer. You can control the angle of your club head and the ball, I guess, so you can squeeze it a bit more. Yeah. Would you ever put your ball in the ground and knock it down with the club head, or push it into the floor a little bit just to lose half the ball in the ground?
No.
Never?
No.
Oh, you're missing a whole world of fun there. Oh, maybe I just hit it better than you.
Mate, well, there's definitely that element. There could definitely be that element.
Maybe I don't.
Actually, about 5 minutes ago, Duncan compared me to VJ Singh. So
yeah, that's true. I did. Yeah. When I was a junior in golf, the T-peg was seen as like armbands in the swimming pool, or stabilisers on your bike. And the guy with his iron off a T-peg was the guy who, yeah, he can't do it properly. He needs a T-peg because he's still not good enough to take his armbands off. So for me, I get rid of T-pegs all the time. What do you reckon a club golfer should do? If they're teeing off with a small wood?
Definitely use a T-peg.
Yeah.
That would be where you change.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've got this thing in my mind where, when I look at a golfer, I define whether they are. Well, please don't take offence at this, but I reckon golfers are one of two things when it comes to tee shots. I think they're either a wood chipper, so they take their driver or their 3-wood, and they play like a half swing, like a chip swing. So they're using a wood which is capable of power and then chipping it like half shot. So they're playing these little flat running shots, or they're wedge wooders, and they're taking out a wedge and they're smacking it like a wood somewhere up there and landing it all the way in the heart of the green. So I think that comes down to your own instincts, whether you feel you want to take a big swing with a small club or a small swing with a big club. So I think if you're taking little swings with a big club, then you need the biggest T-peg you can possibly get underneath your golf ball. Worth mentioning maybe T-peg height for a driver, I think, or for all woods.
Yeah, the old textbook would always say half the ball, can you see that? Half the ball above the face and half the ball below it.
Do you know what? That might be the first thing we've agreed on.
Okay, however, just because I don't like to agree, I think as time goes by and as things change, you'll see the top tour pros teeing it up a lot higher, because they want to be hitting up and reducing spin and making the ball travel further. And I don't know what you think about this. If you were going to go either a little bit too short or a little bit too long.
The T-peg height, always too long.
Yeah, same here. Oh,
always
Jesus.
too long. Damn.
Jesus.
That's two things in the same.
Anyway, let's move on before it's not a squabble.
I think one big thing all club golfers do is under peg their ball. They peg it up. They peg it up too low. If you want to get better with your driver, you want to tee it up higher than you're comfortable with. You want to put it a little further left than you're comfortable with, because by the time the club's got to the golf ball, it's naturally facing a little bit more around to the left. So you're going to create more loft by having it higher and hitting it later, but your club's also going to be a little less likely to face to the right. So what you're likely to get is high shots that go touch left, which is, for most of you, will be the sort of the opposite of what you probably experience with your driver. I think another issue is loft. What loft do you use on your driver?
Don't know.
You don't know?
9.5 degrees.
See, I'm using 15.
15 degrees.
15, yeah. See, I think I've got this opinion that a golfer either takes little loft and then helps it in the air, which I reckon you do, which is what you should do, or you take lots of loft and then you try and hit the ball with more of a forward hit and take loft off it. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So we'd probably get the same flight with two different approaches.
I was just going to mention, and you are absolutely right to bring up loft, but I was just going to mention in terms of tee height, Duncan mentioned earlier, and rightly so, that with an iron you'll hit slightly lower on the face, but with a driver you maximise distance by hitting slightly higher. So just going back and reiterating the tee height point, that if you are going to go for a tee height with a driver, just go slightly higher.
Do you reckon that tee peg's high enough? So I'll bring you down here where Joe is putting his club to his golf ball. Hang on, if I can see that. There it is. Can you see how high that is? Now that ball's not high enough for that club. because half the ball isn't above the top of the club. Maybe you can see it from there better. See it from there? There you go. Nearly half the ball's above the top of the club. Would you say that T-peg's high enough for you?
I would say I'd maybe give it another couple of millimetres, nothing major.
Yeah. So maybe you might consider at some point buying those step T-pegs that you can just put on with a bit of string, or maybe even putting a wooden T-peg down the side of that, because it's possible if you've got a modern day driver that your driver needs to be pegged higher than our orange T-pegs.
Yeah.
But the subject of T-peg height and ball position is all perhaps a subject for another day.
Yeah.
So have we agreed on that then?
Yeah, we have, so we're not going to be able to use it as a squabble subject very well, are we?
We squabbled at the beginning.
So I think, let's sum this up, I think with an iron, a T-peg is horses for courses,
Yeah.
and as long as you do it properly, do what you feel comfortable.
As long as the golfer understands how the ball gets airborne.
Yeah. With a driver and a wood,
We agree.
we agree we've got to peg it up.
High as you can, yeah. Hip height, 2 foot off the ground, catch it on a sidearm swing and swipe it up into the air.
Exactly that.
Do not peg it up too low. There is an occasion where pegging it on the low tee peg is valuable. If I put that on that low tee, so that ball is now right there. You've got to be a better player to do this. But we'll get Joe to do it. He can hit a ball with a driver, you can see him smack one. So off a low tee peg,
Well, good to go.
off a little nut, yeah, off a low tee peg, it's difficult. Why can't I get that to face you? There we are. We did it already. It's very difficult to hit a hook round at the left. So better players tend to peg their ball down a little bit and then hit a little left to right shot as a safety shot.
If you ever feel there's big trouble down the left-hand side, even chuck it on the floor, because you cannot, as Duncan says there, you cannot hook it.
A beefy shot that is. So only hit it off the low tee peg if you don't want to go left. Please keep sending in your suggestions of what we talk about. We need really, really emotive ones. Why do I keep hitting the field on the second? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly that.
All right, so for us it's goodbye for now. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.